Hi everyone, it's me again, Gage, community manager at Ascendex. Today we're going to have a quick chat AMA with two of the members of the Fringe Finance team, Constantine and Carlos. Fringe is a project we've had listed for a bit. You may know them as Bond. They recently underwent a rebrand. But yeah, I'll let you guys quickly introduce yourselves if you have anything you want to say as we get started. And yeah, maybe just give a quick overview of Fringe itself as well.
Hello everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Konstantin Shirokov. I am the marketing director of Fringe Finance. I've been in the crypto space for 4 years at the moment, doing marketing and product management for very broad range of different projects. And at the middle of the last year, I have landed and joined Bonded Finance. The project has rebranded into Fringe. The project is a lending and borrowing protocol that is aiming to untap the capital hidden into the all size altcoins by providing the infrastructure to, on the one side, lend stablecoins, and on the other side, take stablecoin loans against those altcoins.
Yeah, I'll add to that. Well, my name is Carlos Cano. I'm the head of community, head of content. I do a bunch of stuff here at Fringe Finance. And you guys also know me from the Telegram chats and all. And like Konstantin said, Fringe Finance is a next generation lending platform. We aim to provide a spot in the market for low capitalization, but just in general, underserved by DeFi projects to list themselves as collateral for lending to allow them to access the DeFi panorama. So we're sort of in that way aiming to serve those that DeFi has left behind, those you would say in the fringes.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So you guys mentioned like you rebranded from Bond. I feel like that's a good place to start with what you're trying to do. Maybe go into a little bit about the thoughts behind the rebrand and what that means for the project going forward.
Sure. So I'll take that one if Konstantin is okay with that.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, and I will add the details.
Cool. All right. So the rebrand. Let's talk about why rebrand. We felt like the Bond name was a bit behind the current aims of the platform. Bond started as an idea to launch different synthetic and exotic products on financial products for DeFi, and it slowly evolved into this vision of becoming DeFi for everyone, of becoming the first place where DeFi projects go to become the small projects would go to access DeFi. So in that way, we felt like the rebranded was better aligning with that vision. On top of this, I just reckon we had a bunch of problems with other projects having the same name, with the concept of a bond being somewhat far from the lending protocol for everyone that we wanted to become. And we just wanted to give the project a face, a fresh new look. So we decided that becoming Fringe was the best decision there. And sorry, what was the other half of the question?
Oh no, that was about it. Just wanted to hear your thoughts on the direction and the motives behind the rebrand. But I think what you said makes sense with this year, with the rise of like the Ohm tokenomics and bonding with protocol and liquidity. The concept of bonding in crypto sort of took on a new meaning. So it makes sense that as a lending and borrowing protocol, you'd want to sort of redefine what it is you're trying to accomplish with regards to that. But Constantine, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and with the new brand, we are getting much closer to the launch date of the platform, and we would like to add some additional momentum to what are we doing. And with the rebrand, we are giving it in terms of the marketing, in terms of additional attention that is being brought to the project.
Got it. Makes sense. Yeah. So you mentioned the development of the project and the mainnet launch is coming up soon. I did get a chance to play around with the testnet product a bit earlier today, but could you go into a little bit more depth about what it's been like developing a lending and borrowing platform on Ethereum and sort of like a timeline for when you think the mainnet will be ready?
I think we have the platform is ready at the moment, and what we are waiting for is the results or the audit, and the audit is being made by two companies. One is Hashex, that is an external audit company for us, and another one is Cyber Unit that has two roles. One is that they are our platform developers, and the other one is that they had separate department that is doing audits. So we are being audited not by one company, but by two at the moment. And after the audit results, we'll be ready to kickstart the platform. And in terms of the development of the project on Ethereum, definitely with the current landscape of the different chains, we are aiming at cross-chain, but as Ethereum is the most stable and the most proven and really decentralized network, we are launching on it and having it like a test ground for the protocol.
That's exactly it. Like most of the work that's happening on development has focused not only on the smart contract side. I would say that in retrospect, that was the easy side. But like we just seen so many projects be hacked and have issues and be exploited, and in general, we get a feeling that for DeFi to truly become for everyone, not only the retail user needs to be extremely well protected, but also the institutions. And projects need to go on long, successful streaks of not being exploited, not having any kind of issues, to be trusted by the bigger players in the financial ecosystem. And in that regard, just like developing audits and staying on top of these and incorporating as much of their feedback and then retesting has been like core of the Fringe vision to what it is to build on Ethereum. Some people have criticized the decision to build on Ethereum because they feel like nowadays there are other chains that are more prevalent or faster or cheaper to use. But as we've seen, there has really been no competitor for Ethereum when it comes to that. Eventually, every other chain that has been pushed as an Ethereum killer has become saturated, has even come to halts or come to complete stoppage by just the sheer usage from people. And we just find that the decentralization traits that they make are not worthwhile for us to explore. We rather build on Ethereum and then build cross-chain rather than build on another ecosystem and see that ecosystem develop problems.
Got it. So you're really prioritizing the safety of the users first and foremost by choosing to build on Ethereum versus like perhaps a less proven blockchain that may right now be popular with certain users, but is still as of yet maybe not as battle tested, which I think makes sense for something that I see a lot in your project materials, which is the concept of DeFi for everyone. So that makes me wonder, like, who do you guys see as the main users of Fringe? I mean, I know you talked about democratizing to the point where you could use pretty much any DeFi asset as collateral, so sort of lowering those barriers. But do you see Fringe as being used mostly by retail users, or do you have plans for maybe ramping up to other types of users as well?
That is a great question. Yeah, I'll start with this one, and then if you want, you can add some detail, Kaz. Basically, our main target, obviously, it's a bit of a fallacy that institutions are going to be first. And that's something that a lot of projects espouse. That cannot really happen. Like things need to be in the hands of the retail investor first, so they can grow to the point where institutions will use them. But in that way, what we aim to build towards is to create a product that retail users can take advantage of, token holders of many different projects that are underserved in the DeFi scene can take advantage of, for them to these projects also to start taking loans against their own treasuries. Because what often happens is that projects raise money, start building, and then eventually need more funds. So instead of conducting a second ICO, we aim to create a solution that projects themselves can use to take loans against their treasury, raise more capital by themselves permissionlessly without going to financial institutions or without selling more of their projects or even diluting their tokens to and by that means hurting their community. So if they take a loan on a platform such as Fringe, they can access capital, they can repay their own loans, and they can be in charge of their own, have their destiny in their own hands, basically.
Yeah, I will add to that the main aim of the project is to generate profit for the holders of our token. And in order to achieve that, we are planning to attract both retail users on the side of the borrowers, project themselves, as Carlos has mentioned, on the side of the borrowers also, and institutional investors on the side of the lenders. And that is the reason we are playing this game for the long term, and we put the security first in here, because for institutional investors, they will be very cautious to where they will put their capitals. And we are aiming to have the protocol that will provide much higher return on the investments for them, and work without any security breaches or bugs or things like that.
Got it. Yeah, I think that makes sense, and is interesting, the fact that you mentioned from a project perspective, even onboarding them as users with regards to treasury management and allowing them to unlock capital that's stored in maybe their native token, which they otherwise would have had trouble utilizing and putting to work for them. But you did have a good segue to my next question, which was the USB stablecoin platform, which I was curious to hear more about, and how those dynamics work along with the value accrual token, which is the Fringe token. So how does the USB stablecoin function within Fringe?
The USB yes, you have correctly mentioned, is a stablecoin, and it will be the separate facility for us, but it will work more or less in the same way as it works with the primary lending platform that we are launching first. The difference will be that instead of taking a loan in stable coins, users will mint our own stablecoin. That's basically the model on which MakerDAO is operating currently. And with the USB platform, we will provide even less liquidity assets, the ability to be put as the collateral on the platform. And also, we have very broad plans in terms of providing the liquidity for USB holders across all the DeFi space. So we are planning that a lot of users will switch from their stable coins to USB, because it will have more utility, more liquidity, and more opportunities in the space.
I will add to that decentralized stablecoins are very important in the current state of the crypto scene. Like, we've seen so many times that there's food surrounding Tether, there's food surrounding USDC, because centralized stablecoins just do not have the potential to scale or the centralized companies behind them do not really have they're not completely secure for investors, let's call it that. And so having the centralized stablecoins, we believe we're adding something very valuable to the community. We've seen the great success Terra has had with this regard, and we aim to become an alternative to that, and to DAI, which we're very similar to. And the USB stablecoin platform is greatly inspired by DAI, just trying to take it a step forward. Yeah, but I believe that's why the USB stablecoin platform is so important, because it just adds more decentralized stablecoins into the market.
So let's say I'm a project with a treasury that's mostly composed of my own token that I've recently raised. Is there a point down the line where I'll be able to go onto the Fringe platform and then leverage my own project token as collateral to withdraw USB?
Yeah, ideally, like in the greater picture, in the future, when the Fringe Finance platform is completely developed, what you'll be able to do is that you'll be able to take your project to the Fringe DAO, and maybe you'll have to buy a certain number of bond tokens to apply to be listed by the DAO. Sorry, I just got up the stairs and I lost my breath a little bit.
Print tokens, not bond.
I'm so sorry, man. the rebrand is too fresh here. Thank you. Fringe tokens. And you would go to the Fringe DAO. You would apply for a listing on the Fringe Finance platform. And if you do get listed by the DAO, which at a point we want the Fringe team to be a part of, but in equal stance as everyone, then you have to decide whether you would rather collateralize your own coins to take a USB loan, which also this will be USB tokens that you can stake, or just take up a stablecoin loan to further develop your project. So that would be sort of like the two alternatives.
Yeah, and at the moment, if the project wants to apply to be listed on the platform, the decision is being done by the administrator, so it's on our side. And as Carlos had mentioned, the plans is to deliver it to the hands of the community through DAO. And I must add that here comes the innovation of Fringe Finance, is that we are introducing the tier system for assets, and they are divided between different tiers based on their liquidity, trading volume, liquidity pools, listings, etc. And if your project come to us and they will be assigned a different tier to it based on those parameters that I have mentioned, and based on that, there will be different loan to value ratio that you can take. For example, if your project has very good or liquidity rate, liquidity very good, trading volume, etc., he will be assigned like a tier 1 and will have a LVR of 80%. So if you put your assets at $10,000, you can take 8,000 stablecoin loan against it.
Got it. So that's sort of like the whitelisting process of getting a new asset listed into the Fringe DAO, which would be necessary in order to use that asset as collateral, correct? Like there's no plans for a permissionless lending product at this time, is there?
No, there will be no permissionless, at least now we don't have that in the roadmap. It will be first the platform itself, the administrator that make the decision, and later it will be passed to the community voting.
Got it. Yeah. It's definitely a very unique combination of sort of lending and borrowing and then like capital unlocking protocols. I know that the lending and borrowing primitive is usually one of the first DeFi protocols to make it to new blockchains. So like the idea has been out there. You see other projects like Aave, Compound, stuff like that. But are there any particular projects that that inspired the idea for Fringe, or like maybe just explain what drove you guys to put together the Fringe project? Was there a specific problem you saw that needed solving in DeFi, or was it sort of just a coincidence that you came up with it?
No, it would be we would be fooling everyone, and we would be fooling ourselves if we don't say that we're greatly inspired by Compound and by Maker. So like Maker sort of invented the decentralized stablecoin, and they did it by allowing people to mint DAI by locking it in an over collateralized loan, and that was a great innovation. Like people don't realize how important that was back in the day. And on the other side, Compound is just like the flagship of DeFi lending and borrowing. And so what we decided to do was to take both of these concepts, merge them, and expand on them by saying, okay, why do we only need to have 12 assets that are listed for lending and borrowing? Why cannot we have 300? There are so many altcoins out there, and some of them have great communities, great liquidity. Their projects need funding. We just figured that like creating, and this is our motto, right? A DeFi for everyone was going to have to start with lending and borrowing. And that's why we decided that. I wanted to add a little bit about permissionless loans, because that's something that we've been asked about repeatedly. And we just see that in the current DeFi scene, permissionless everything has to eventually happen. But we're worried of where this might take us with these low liquidity projects. Right now, the infrastructure is just not there to have permissionless lending, because price feeds are super important, obviously, for loans to be collateralized, and not every asset can have a price feed. We have worked directly with Chainlink to produce these price feeds for projects that did not have them. So by taking an active role, we're actually building not only our own system, but building tools that the whole crypto community can use, such as the price feeds for these assets.
Got it. Yeah, I think you bring up a good point that as far as permissionless lending goes, it definitely introduces a whole new dimension of risk, especially allowing people to use like illiquid assets as collateral on the platform. And then I don't think that really would work well for your goals with Fringe, especially if you are intending to become like a platform where projects themselves can go and unlock capital in that way. So I think it makes a lot of sense, the strategy that you're taking. And it's really unique. I know you guys did say that you'd both been in crypto for some time. I know there's probably more members to the team, but what sort of like unique experience do you guys have on the Fringe team that is really putting Fringe in the position to be successful? Like, where do you guys' experiences lie, maybe outside of crypto?
Yeah, I would mention that in my experience, that team is outstanding in terms of the support that we have for each other, and in terms of the attitude that our CEO Paul has in terms of the development and in terms of the relationship in the team. He passes a lot of the responsibility to the team members, and it's very inspiring, this attitude. And we are the team that's working very distributed. Carlos is from Mexico. The core development team is from Australia. I'm from Russia, and we have team members all around the world. But still, we had common language and common understanding of what are we doing and what the goal of the project is.
And I would add to that the Fringe team is very reliant on a very acid, very self-aware humor. Because we have gone through all stages. Like everyone that runs a crypto project, they know that like your community is super supportive until things go wrong. Then a lot of people remain supportive, of course, but like you start seeing trolls and you start seeing things sort of like in a different lens of pressure. And I just love how the Fringe team is so in touch with its community sentiment and always working around that and always trying to take an active stance regarding to its community and not taking itself too seriously. Not to say that the project is not taken seriously, but like we don't see ourselves as big important businessmen that run the project, rather as like you regular members of the community that are trying to build something great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I definitely see the importance of community. I mean, I'm a community manager myself, so I spend a lot of time in the community, and I see definitely what you're saying with how the community can be fickle sometimes. They'll stick by you when the token numbers going up, but it's sometimes hard for that to happen, especially in these market conditions. But so yeah, I mean, we talked about roadmap a little bit, but maybe you guys want to like expand on some of the other specific goals that you guys have for 2022 that we haven't necessarily touched on yet. I know there's staking in the pipeline for the Frin token. Maybe something else.
I'm sorry, my earphone malfunctioned there for a second. Can you repeat?
Yeah, sure. So we talked a little bit about roadmap and what you guys have in the pipeline, but maybe you would like to expand a little bit on certain aspects we haven't touched on yet, or talk about staking or some of the other things on your roadmap for 2022.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So the most pressing thing right now is to finalize all of our auditing to be to be more confident in the release of the primary lending platform. We have constantly stressed the importance of audits in our protocol, and this is like the main thing in our list. As soon as we launch the primary lending platform, we're hoping to launch the USB stablecoin platform pretty soon afterwards so that people can have a wider panorama and we can start having our own decentralized stablecoin and then open up staking natively for both the Freedom token and for the USB stablecoin. That would sort of complete the Fringe Finance platform, and we can go on to onboarding more projects and to just continue to grow our protocol. One thing that I think is very important and we didn't touch on is the incorporation of DeFi insurance into the platform. So by insuring positions and contracts, we do not only want to protect people from a possible exploit or a possible hack, and this is like something that I really think every platform should have, but we also want them to give them the option to protect themselves in case they get liquidated, in case they experience another kind of problem. We're in collaboration with two very important projects in the DeFi scene for the coming years, Union Finance and Armor Finance, that are going to help us implement this kind of security into the protocol. And I think that will be key for the institutional user as well.
Yeah, and I would like to add that also we have plans to implement the decentralized user interface. So initially, the project will be launched on the site of the Fringe Finance, but we will provide the ability for everyone to host the protocol on their own user interface, and that will further help us to mitigate the risks of some regulations and provide the real decentralization to the protocol.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we like to pretend that DeFi is like a safe place to play around, but at the end of the day, a lot of these protocols are still experimental. So I think the lack of insurance and the risk of just a complete loss of funds does represent a significant barrier to entry for a lot of participants. So I think it's cool that you guys are looking to implement insurance in that. And did you mention any of the specific partners that you're working with on that, or are they as of yet to be announced?
Yeah, Carlos has mentioned the Union Finance that we has already announced, and one that we haven't already.
Oops.
All right, yeah, no worries. No one heard that. Do you guys have any other partners that you may be working with on other aspects of the project that have been very helpful in your journey so far?
Yeah, well, just Chainlink has been amazing in their enthusiasm to provide feeds for for tokens that did not have feeds. They were also great in explaining to us why we should use certain types of feeds as opposed to others. Many projects in the DeFi scene use swap feeds, time weighted average price feeds. And what those do is that they basically work with automated market makers to sort of inform a feed. And the Chainlink team has been great in expanding on how these kind of feeds can be exploited for flash loan attacks. And so it's been amazing to work with them because like there's such a great projects in the crypto community. They're a very professional team. They're also huge. Like I couldn't imagine how big they were until we started dealing with them, and that comes with its own like bureaucratic trade-offs, right? But it's just been amazing to learn so much from them and to build feeds for the whole crypto community through them.
Yeah, I would mention that the primary aim of all the partnership for us is not only to integrate the assets on the platform to be used as the collateral, but with almost every partner, we have different possible angles of incorporation. Like some projects offer us the cross-chain facility that they develop. Some offers to integrate some native token wrapping that they represent. You can understand what project I'm referring to if you're familiar with our partnership landscape. Some are creating some applications for the broader audience, and they planning to implement some elements like lending in the application. So with every partner that we have, we not only have the assets on the platform and we are doing cross marketing, but there are always some different angles of the possible integration.
Yeah, 100% right. So like having these partners, even if they just come to us for listing their token on the platform for lending, that just opens up so many possibilities because we already know their teams, we already are in touch with them, we know what they do, so we know what we can come to them for, and that goes both ways, right? So they can always suggest things for Fringe that we didn't know of.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then I think you guys forgot to mention Ascendex in there. We've been pretty good partners for a long time as well. I mean, I think your guys' staking program has been one of our most successful. We have, I think, somewhere over 2,000 wallets staking their tokens on Ascendex. And we also have collaborated on other competitions and promotions like a trading competition. So yeah, I mean, our relationship is pretty good as well, along with the other partners you mentioned. But
yeah, Engage. What do you think about adding ASD token to our platform to be used as the collateral?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, there's definitely a lot of users on Ascendex holding good amounts of ASD that would love to put that capital to work. So maybe it's something we should explore. I think that it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm sorry, when you said partners, I was just thinking in terms of projects that will be listed on the platform. But you're right that as a strategic partner, Ascendex has been absolutely great. Like the community is very big. I mean, there are over 2,000 wallets that are staking in Ascendex. So yeah, staking has been pretty successful. And one thing that people don't realize about staking is that staking is very important for a project to incentivize people to not sell their token or not trade it. And I think with a project such as like such like first Bonded and now Fringe, where development has taken more time than it was supposed to for various reasons. It's just great to have this tool to incentivize our holders to continue supporting their token and to build this support for projects that otherwise would have seen the same destiny as many 2017 projects that just crashed 99% and never recovered.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, staking single-sided is definitely one of the most important levers that a token can use to sort of shore up sell-side liquidity. I mean, keep the token price from performing too poorly. But so I know you guys have to run in about 19 minutes to the Telegram AMA, so I'm just going to ask you a couple more questions if that's okay. One of which being, I know we've talked about all the goals and the development timeline and stuff like that, but what do you guys see as the biggest risks and barriers right now that you guys are working on getting around with Fringe?
Yeah, I would definitely mention the security risk that we have as the platform, and we have already mentioned how we're trying to mitigate that kind of risk. There are also legal risk, as the regulators all across the globe are keeping a close eye on the DeFi space that is constantly growing and sometimes perceived as a threat to the existing financial system. And we are trying to mitigate it also by implementing the really decentralized stablecoin mechanics and decentralized user interface that will allow us to keep functioning as the protocol, even if if it will be some legally problematic for us, or if the team will abandon the protocol, it still be alive and will be no problem with using it in any case. I would also mention the timeline, because the DeFi space is so rapidly developing and growing that you must keep a close eye of what is happening, understanding the current trends and implementing the trends into your protocol. So we need to work really fast in order to keep updated on the space and be on the hot trends of the space.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. I mean, it's just evolving so rapidly. I mean, you even mentioned with part of the decision making behind the rebrand was the new development of bonding. So that's a good example right there of how quickly the space tends to move. So yeah, you got to stay on top of innovation at all times.
Sorry. Let me add one thing about the rebranding and Ascendex being a partner. It was the best. Ascendex was the best in terms of the communication while we made this through the rebranding process, airdrop, and etc. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, we're happy to help. I mean, we tend to have a more collaborative alignment with projects that we list, as you know. I mean, we've been working together, not personally, but I mean, you guys know the Ascendex process, I'm sure. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to just ask you guys one more thing, maybe just a non-project related question. Like, is there any sector in crypto outside of maybe borrowing and lending as a unrelated to Fringe that has you guys excited right now? Like, are you paying attention to anything going on with NFTs, for example, or DAOs? I know you mentioned Fringe is somewhat of a decentralized DAO structure, but anything else you wanted to mention with regards to that?
This is a somewhat unrelated field, like you say. Like, it doesn't have a lot to do with DeFi or even NFTs. This might be a surprise for some people, but I really believe that in hardship times for the market, or in just the general bad times, privacy projects and privacy related entities or data management projects will always do well, because this is key infrastructure that needs to be built to support anything from NFTs to Web3. The current way the crypto scene is structured is very promising, but a lot of the infrastructure that projects use and that most people use every day, there is very reliant on centralized parties. So most people don't know this, but like the NFTs they purchase for thousands or millions of dollars, they rely very heavily on Google Drive links that you don't know if they're going to be there in 2 months or 6 months or 2 years. I would say anything related to data management and storage on the blockchain is very important and is seeing very good developments right now. And just everything related to privacy. Because as we develop blockchains that are cheaper to use, we're going to see more solutions that are more similar to what we have in social media and in Web 2.0 in general. And you don't want all your data to be visibly available to everyone. People need to start paying attention to these issues. And I believe that I'm not going to name any names, but there are very good projects building these solutions right now.
On my side, I expect, three major shifts this year. One being Web 3.0 being implemented in more and more of different protocols and different kind of industries. And I think we will see the paradigm shift in terms of the whole and broader web this year, or maybe it will be next year also. Also, the decentralized organizations, they are in the space for a couple of years at the moment, but it will expand and it will grow, and I think we will see the great trend in terms of the legal part of that, and in terms of the more and more protocols and different type of entities transitioning into DAOs. And metaverses, it was a hot trend of the end of the last year, and there is no significant signs that it will not be a huge trend for this year. A lot of different kinds of jobs will occur exclusively on the metaverse, and a lot of processes with all that things happening in the world, with lockdowns and with people spending more and more time in their phones and on their laptops at their homes. There is no chance that metaverses will not kick off.
Yeah, I think great answer from both of you. I mean, I especially resonate with what Carlos you said about decentralized data storage. I mean, I think by far the biggest and most crucial development needed for the next sort of wave of crypto and Web3 is the decentralized data storage. I mean, it's not even really Web3 at all, is it really, until we're no longer relying on these services like Google and Amazon Web Services to provide the data. So I think that's a really good point you made there about that.
Exactly, and a bit of a shield there is that Fringe is actually looking into solutions like this. So we do not want our UI to be centralized. We want to deploy a decentralized UI that everyone can access and that everyone can deploy to like avoid this kind of thing. Because these solutions are, in the end of the day, also very reliable not reliable, that they could be censored in the end of the day. Like we've seen many countries try to take measures against cryptocurrencies, and one thing can very easily lead to the other. And just by building things that cannot be censored, we are also informing what the governments of the world will be eventually. That's a bit of a cypherpunk take, but I believe it to be true.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you're spot on with that. But yeah, so this has been great. I mean, I think I at least learned a lot about Fringe and what you guys are building. It's definitely very exciting. Looking forward to seeing and hoping that 2022 goes very well for you guys. I'm sure it will, and expanding our collaboration in the future. So I'll let you guys hop off and get ready for the Telegram AMA coming up soon. Was there any last things you guys wanted to mention or questions you wanted to ask me?
Yeah, I'd like to mention that we're currently doing trading competition on Ascendex, and I invite everyone to participate and to share the pool price of 400 USD worth of Fringe tokens.
Yep.
4,000, sorry, 40,000.
Yeah, that's still going on for maybe a week or so. So everyone be sure to check that out. Frin is also trading on Ascendex, so definitely go check that out and participate where you can. So yeah, thanks again, guys. This has been great. I'm sure I'll see you over in the Telegram AMA in about 9 minutes. And thanks everyone else for listening.
We'll see you all in Telegram for the AMA, and thank you very much for your questions, man. They were really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe we can do this again sometime.
Anytime. So yeah, so everyone listening, please hop off to the Telegram AMA where you'll be able to ask us questions as well. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Talk soon.
Bye bye.